Hello, everybody. Scott Golden here with the NXT review for the 4th of January, the New Year's Evil show. I guess some people like the new NXT 2.0. It's different. I like the gimmick part. I just don't necessarily think the storylines are up to worth watching for most people. I only wonder why it hovers around 500 to 600,000 people on a weekly basis. Anyway, show opens with a title match to unify the championships, the end of the Cruiserweight Championship, which was created as part of 205 Live brand several years ago. I think that was 2016. The title is being folded into North American Championship. Different look for the deal here. North American Champion Carmelo Hayes, Trick Williams defeats Cruiserweight Champion Roderick Strong with Malcolm Bivens and Henchman in a unification match. Hayes pins Strong. Decent match. Unifying the titles. Hayes leaves the match with both belts, and the opener has set the bar pretty high for the rest of the show. Action packs from the start, and things flow together pretty well. All action until a near fall. Hayes leads to a commercial break. Double down during the break. Strong comes back, works over his back, and Hayes comes back with a three-quarter roll. Transition into crossface. Strong then counters. Keeps the attempt to apply his Boston Crab. Finisher then calls the stranglehold. Hayes then reverses to apply the stranglehold on Strong. Another counter later, and Strong applies the stranglehold on Hayes. Hayes is able to secure a rope break. Hayes then gets things rocked by strikes. Strong delivers Olympic Slam. Near fall. They keep trading near falls down the home stretch. Strong then gives Hayes Avalanche X-Plex off the top rope into an amazing spot, X-Plex, but Strong delivers the move. Hayes then covers Strong with one arm for 2 count, and they go to the finish after that. Hayes then leaps way high in the air, hits a slice. Strong then hits a guillotine leg drop from the heavens. Hayes then covers Strong for a 3 count. Hayes then successfully defends the North American Championship, and Hayes captures Cruiserweight Championship en route to unifying the title. NXT Champion Tommaso Ciampa is in the locker room clutching Goldie when he's met by AJ Styles. They exchange pleasantries. Styles heads to the ring, and the live audience gives Styles a superstar reaction. Crowd chants his name. Styles gushes about them. Then Styles gets more serious, talking about his regrets. Styles remarks about having not gone through the NXT before debuting on the main roster. Styles says that there's something special about NXT, and the crowd chants NXT. Styles points. He says that's passion. Styles will not let anyone take the passion from the fans, thus he brings up the name Grayson Waller. I do not follow where he's going. Waller comes out, interrupts regarding cuts promo on Styles before cutting promo on the fan in the front row. Waller says he knows the reason Styles lost last night on Raw, while says implying he himself is a really great wrestler. Styles informs Waller that Styles has never had a match on NXT. Styles says he already has his gear on. Challenges Waller to a match. All they need is a ref. Styles says Waller is wearing street clothes, tries to beg off. Styles then tells him to grow a, pair, and then gets into the ring. Waller then takes his shirt off, gets in the ring. Waller circles Styles before stopping to say not tonight. Waller then challenges Styles to a match next week, main event of NXT. Styles accepts. Waller tries to cheap shot Styles. They brawl around. Styles fights back and hits a Pele kick. Styles then goes for his springboard. Waller's out of the ring. Pre-tape skit is up next. Next week's NFT. Armani Miller is in the gym with Casey Catanzaro and Caden Carter. They're approached by Perez Peralta and Indy Hartwell. Peralta accepts challenge for a trios match. Then they do some comedy. Wendy Chow, Mei Ying, who's doing sleeping gimmick, just goofy stuff. Matt Riddle and MSK, Wesley and Nash Carter defeat Imperium. Walter, Marcel Bartel and Fabian Artner. Riddle pins Artner to win the match. Match is pretty decent. Match has a bunch of action in the early stages. Trio's bout goes through a commercial break. Imperium works over Carter. Show returns from break. Hot tag Riddle and Riddle hits a bunch of offense. Riddle then cleans house, runs wild on Walter. Earlier in the match, Triple flying with a stereo dives through the ropes by MSK. Springboard twisting. Whisper in the Wind by Riddle. Imperium collectively fights back. Waller then gets a near fall on Riddle. Double team Bartel and Ankner on Riddle, and Carter makes the save, breaking up the pin. Walter gives orders to Bartel and Ankner, going for the finisher. Riddle counters. He gets tag out to Carter, and Lee tags in. Quick tag to Riddle. MSK executes tandem finisher, and Riddle follows with a brawl assault. Riddle then catches Bartel, RKO, and Riddle covers Bartel for the pinfall. Joe Gacy announces that he and Harland want to compete as a team in the Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classic. NXT champion, women's champion Mandy Rose arrives, helicopter, looking like a superstar. Elektra Lopez says the next week Zion Quinn gets his answer. Quinn meets Santos Escobar in a match next Tuesday on NXT. I don't know who would care about this. NXT Women's Champion Mandy Rose defeats Cora Jade and Raquel Gonzalez. No disqualification. Triple threat match. Not a fan of triple threat. Rose pins Jade to retain the title. No DQ and stiff allows them to use kendo sticks, which they use during split screen commercial break, which makes no sense. Gonzalez gets to look strong. Bunch of power moves. Gonzalez then tosses Jade out of the match at one point, and then Gonzalez points to Rose, trying to flee. Rose then runs up the ramp. Gonzalez gives her a chase and then brings Rose back into the ring. Rose then begs off before Gonzalez begins to hit a bunch of shots on her. Rose then cuts off Gonzalez near fall. Gonzalez then bulks up and gives Rose powerbomb finisher. Gonzalez then goes for a corner, but Jade then flies off the top rope with a senton to break up the pinning attempt. Gonzalez then turns her anger towards Jade, but Jade is able to counter. Jade then shows Gonzalez and shoves her out of the ring. Jade then smirks towards the camera. Jade goes for a schoolgirl roll-up. Rose then hits a counter for the roll-up, and Rose cradles Jade for the deciding pinfall. First speaking role on television, Creed brothers confront MSK. Creeds then cut a promo vowing to win the Dusty Classic. Von Wagner gets into it with Chase University founder Andre Chase. Andre Chase comes to the ring, speech. Bunch of plants are supposed to be his students. They cheer him on like he's a high school pep rally. No celebration though, as Chase's speech is interrupted by Von Wagner sauntering to the ring. Wagner is beat when he says bull, well, you know. And then he goes on with the promo. Wagner sounds incredibly a lot like his father, not a big surprise there. Wagner tries to put himself over as a star. Chase then tries to tell him this is a teachable moment. Wagner's not done fighting as he starts attacking Chase U students. Wade Barrett gets in an Antonio Brown joke, saying that Wagner is crazy. The officials pour in to break things up. Video package featuring Cameron Grimes seems to indicate shift in his character. Grimes' New Year is ditching the green for gold, as in championships next week on NXT. AJ Styles, Grayson Waller, Zion Quinn, Santos Escobar, Boa, and Solo Sikoa. Wendy Cho, Persia Barretta, Indy Hartwell versus Amarne Miller, Casey Catanzaro, Caden Carter, Pete Dunne, Tony D'Angelo in a crowbar on a pole match. Main event is airing commercial free. We go to the main event now, which is Braun Breaker and Tommaso Ciampa. Breaker submits Ciampa to win the title, become the new champion of the NXT brand. Decent match. Breaker looks like a star. Breaker gets a good entrance, breaks through chains like the Hercules mythology in Greek lore. Then Breaker breaks down the chains, proceeds to kick through a giant X, and then Breaker is basically breaking through. Breaker then starts House Fire, manhandles Ciampa with a bunch of power moves. Ciampa then fights dirty, cuts off Breaker, yet Breaker answers back. Ciampa is eventually able to cut off Breaker for at least a little bit. Fights back after missing a splash. Breaker then sent to the outside of the ring. Ciampa follows with a flip dive over the ropes to the floor. Rare to see Ciampa do that. Sleeper by Ciampa. Broken up by Breaker. Double down, they both fight back. Breaker then slams Ciampa to the mat authoritatively. Breaker then sets up for the Super Frankensteiner. Ciampa crouches him on the turnbuckle. Breaker is trapped. Tree of Woe, and Ciampa stomps him. Breaker then flies up again and delivers a spinebuster. Breaker then follows with a standing moonsault. Ciampa then kicks out 2.5. Ciampa then cuts off Breaker, and Ciampa shoves his face in the turnbuckle. Ciampa hits a series of knee strikes. Blood's coming down his face. Breaker then explodes with a spear and rocks Ciampa pretty well. They trade off strikes once more. Ciampa then breaks Breaker into a corner. Breaker then answers back with a Frankensteiner. Things go a little bit weird for a little while. Ciampa then counters Breaker's signature power slam. Ciampa is able to drape Breaker over the ropes, and Ciampa delivers a Widow's Bell. Breaker kicks out of that. Ciampa then applies half crab, but Breaker gets the rope. The fight spills outside of the ring, where Ciampa has pulled back mats to expose concrete floor. Breaker then gives Ciampa Alabama Slam. Through the announce table, Breaker delivers Power Slam finisher. Ciampa grabs bottom rope, breaks it up, and also breaks up the subsequent pinning attempt. Ciampa crouches Breaker, and Ciampa knees Breaker several times. Ciampa connects with the fairy tale ending. Breaker gets enough to kick out of that. Best near fall of the night for him. And they fight. Perched on turnbuckles, Breaker shoves Ciampa off. Breaker jumps off the middle rope and hits the flying bulldog. Breaker then pulls down the straps, and Breaker applies the Steiner recliner. Ciampa then taps out. Breaker wins the match to become the new NXT champion. Decent enough, and for a big show feel, they captured that. Not necessarily sure that there's a whole lot of places to go with NXT post this, but anyway, we'll be back with more right after this.